Good morning and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Luke Waters Clobber and this is my co-host James Boldfinds. And together we are Bold Clobber, a podcast dedicated to UK resellers. That's whether you're full-time, part-time, or just starting out on eBay, Vinted, or any other reselling platform. And on this week's episode, we are joined by Nick and Andrea Hills, legends in the reselling community with nearly 70,000 subscribers on YouTube and over 25 years experience buying and selling second-hand items. We're going to be diving into what's kept them passionate about reselling after all this time, how the move to Ramsgate has changed their business, and how they've built such a strong community throughout their various videos and Sunday lives. We're going to be chatting about sustainability, YouTube, what it really means to live the reselling lifestyle, because for many of us, it's more than just a job, it's a way of life. So grab a brew, get comfy, and let's jump straight into the conversation. But what I want to say off the bat is thank you so much for giving me a lay-in, because I think we've done this every single week. How long have we been doing this for? At 8 o'clock now, James. It's been absolutely ages. And to be fair, I went to the football last night. And when you said, can we make it a little bit later? I was like, that could work perfect.
Sorry, was that a question for us?
I was going to say, who's mentioned? You said James, and am I meant to jump in now? I agree. Before Nick and Andrew speak, they've helped me tremendously. I've mentioned it many times in my videos, and I mentioned it many times when I spoke about reselling journey. It's because of these guys, George Ross and a few others, why I'm even sitting here today. And it was 4 years last month that I've been doing this full time. So it blows my mind. So yeah, thank you. I thank you guys sometimes, and I hate you guys at other times because I'm like, this is stressful, but I wouldn't change it. So yeah, over to you guys. Do a little bit of a introduction, because I'm sure no one in here knows who you guys are. So educate, tell us who you are.
We're not on the internet much.
No, we don't put ourselves out there a lot. You just said it can be stressful, but it's the right sort of stress, right? It's your stress, you own it, right? Makes sense to me.
No, it is so true, and it's a weird kind of fun stress, and it sounds weird when I say that, even to myself. But it's kind of like the stress, but it's kind of your own stress because it's your own business, it's your own thing you're doing, compared to stress where you're getting it from someone else. Like when we worked in the corporate jobs, you've got a manager looking over you and saying, why haven't you done this? You need to do this. You need to do this by this time. Here's your targets. You have to kind of set them yourself. And I'm sure we'll talk about that, but I find that quite difficult to be your own boss and to kind of give yourself tasks you need to do.
Yeah,
for sure.
I struggle with it. Sorry, I jumped in there. We didn't do any sort of intro. I'm Nick. This is my wife. Yeah, we've been full-time now for, what did we work
We've
at?
had a business on eBay for 23 years.
Yeah. I found eBay in 98 and discovered that I could make money quite easily then on eBay. And we set about building up a part-time thing, went full-time in 2002.
No, the end of 2001.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm no good with dates or anything like that. Yeah, we started YouTube kind of on a weird whim about 11 years ago. Best decision I ever made in the business. And yeah, that's the brief story of us. We've done high street retail, we've done Amazon, we've done eBay completely all the way through from the beginning. Yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
It was interesting because I do a little bit digging. I sent you a voice note and I watched your first ever video, and it was so interesting to see the change from when you first kind of sat.
The word you're looking for is absolute cringe, right? That's the first word you need there, honestly.
It's like
it was
lights, isn't it?
It was brilliant because you sat down and you just basically explained what the channel was going to do. But the really interesting thing was I looked at the time and I looked at the date of when you released that, and it was 11 years ago. And on that video, you said that you've been buying and selling secondhand items for 13 years from that point. So I was like, right, 11 years ago, plus another 13 years. I was like, oh my God. Because I mean, I got into this around 3-4 years ago. So I can't comprehend what it was like even at the start of your YouTube journey, let alone the start of just selling secondhand in general. So that's kind of why I want to start off, really, is just reflecting on the journey and how kind of the reselling space has evolved, how it's changed. I know it's not always been eBay for you guys, but even before that, because I'm really interested in what it's like before the whole crazy eBay, and then more so recently with Vinted and stuff like that, and how it's kind of so easy now, but you've done so many different things in terms of retail space, and more recently opening a booth. I saw videos on you guys doing flea markets. There's just been so much variety, whereas when I came in, it was just strictly car boots flipping on eBay, and then Vinted more recently come into it. There's only been a couple of things, but for you guys, there's been so much. So yeah, just a little bit of kind of information on what it was like kind of in the beginning and days way before what it is now.
Yeah, well, we came from a retail background. We met in a shop, in a record shop, and that was what our passion was. We wanted to open our own shop. You did to begin with.
Yeah, I dabbled in business in '98 with my first high street shop.
Yeah.
Which failed. And I think every successful person in business will fail at several points, and you shouldn't be scared of it.
Yeah.
That failed, didn't make me any money, but I learned, I've said this many times, but I learned everything I needed to know failing that first business.
Yeah, but somebody said to me recently, I don't know, they watched the flea market video, said, I don't know how you can do it. I don't know, I find it really difficult to sort of sell face to face. And I said, well, it's because we come from that retail background, and we've had so many years of experience of it, and we actually really quite enjoy it, So.
But I suppose reselling itself is so many forms of it, and all it is buying something as cheaply as you can and selling it on for as much as you can. If you slice any form of it, that's the essence of it, and that's all we've done in just many different forms. Really, just continually evolve. Tried to go where the money is. Tried to go where the next exciting, shiny thing is. Tried to keep it interesting.
Well, I think that's the key, trying to keep it interesting, because we just we get a bit bored if we do the same thing all the time. So we just try and change it up and do different things.
Yeah, you may sorry, I was going to say, you may know we specialised in clothing, which I know Luke can certainly do, and it drove me nuts. I was so bored of that instantly. I mean, that's my kind of brain type anyway. But and then I specialised in Lego in later years. Did nothing but Lego. Had a huge shop selling Lego by the part number, thousands of listings, all of Lego, and I drove myself insane doing that. So for us, keeping it interesting, keeping it varied is actually a key, because we choose to do this. It's a lifestyle choice. So making it dull and stressful or whatever seems counterproductive to me. So we're choosing to be resellers. It works for us for many reasons that we can go into. So keep it interesting, keep it fresh, or try to at least.
I'm similar to Luke. I've watched a lot of your earlier videos because you popped up randomly in my algorithm back when I was in recruitment, before I even considered doing this job. I don't know why you popped up, what it was about, but I watched a video and I got hooked. But I obviously went back and watched some of your previous stuff. And the stuff I really enjoyed was watching you guys in the shop, because I think for a lot of people, that's kind of where people want to aspire to get to. I like to have a shop where I get customers coming in, etc., etc. To other people, it's an absolute nightmare. But the shop wasn't plain sailing for you guys. You guys had like break-ins, dealing with staff members, etc. So talk a little bit about the pros and cons of having the shop, because obviously for you guys, that was probably your vision. You wanted to have your shop. And then once you had it, was it a case of, oh, we didn't realize about all this stuff that isn't the highlight part of the shop? So yeah, talk a little bit about the shop experience, and would you ever do it again?
Just quickly, if you're talking about videos in a shop, that was when briefly we set up a high street clothing shop, a kids clothing shop, which didn't work out itself. We never filmed when we had the gaming shop, which was our huge retail success that set us up for life, really. But go on.
Yeah, well, I'll start with the positive because we've talked a lot about the negative, about the break-ins, about certain customers, etc.
Sure.
But the positives were the really good customers, the customers that would come in every weekend, the families, the people that we got to know, the friends that we got to make through the shop. And yeah, they were the positives, the regular customers, and you'd recognize people, get to know people, have a good chat. Yeah,
I still miss elements of that face to face, but it's such a time drain. We would be there all day, virtually every day. It felt like you have an opening time and a closing time, and you have to be there. I mean, obviously we had staff through the years, but it was essentially a family business run by us. So it was a huge time drain. The big plus of when we came back out of retail, because we didn't start in retail, we started on eBay and evolved onto the high street and then came back out nearly 10 years later. But the big plus of not being there is I have control over my time. We have control over our time, whereas the shop controlled us to a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we even had to get married on a Friday, but so that we could open the shop on Saturday.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper on a Friday anyway to get married on a Saturday, so that's not a bad thing. And do you think? I know we're going to talk on it probably in a bit more detail later, but do you think having the booths you've got now gives you the best of both worlds? Because you still have that space which is offline, and when you go in there, you probably still bump into customers and get to speak to people, but you haven't got to be there 24/7, because that is the big commitment for a shop. You've got to be there to open a shop, close a shop, run the shop, where the booth kind of gives you the space to be able to go in, do what you need to do, but then you can leave it, walk away and go and do everything else you have. So do you think the booth offers you both sides?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really enjoying the creative side of the booth and the flea markets as well. And I'm enjoying the face-to-face selling again. So yeah, definitely.
The flea markets that we started doing and really quite enjoying gives you that fix of face-to-face and that buzz of person-to-person selling, the cash in your hand. It's like selling at a boot sale, but the flea markets, you really get to chat to your customers and
also getting to know other sellers that do them regularly.
Yeah, so that is good, and it really harks back to the shop sometimes selling at those. It's a lot of work though, the flea markets, getting everything priced, getting everything packed in the car, getting everything set up, then selling quite intensely, usually for 2 or 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. Then you've got to pack everything in boxes again, put it back in the car. It's a long day, to be fair. But they're just about working out financially. You know, if you offset how much work is involved with doing one flea market for a day, it's like, was that worth it for a couple £100? Yeah, okay, maybe.
Well, I say it is because I price it with our booth stickers. So, you know, I'm going to do that work anyway. I'm going to price the stock to put in the booth. So I've already done that work, and now we've got boxes in the car. We're going to take it down to the booth today and do a bit of a reset.
And the booths are still an unknown, really, long term with profit. We're working out what sells in there, and we're seeing month on month how much we're making against how much the outlay is. So that's still a big question mark, to be honest, with if that's a long term thing.
Yeah. And is this stuff listed on eBay and you take it to the flea market, or is this stuff that's completely separate? Because a lot of people will take stuff to the car boot. If it doesn't sell, it's still listed on eBay, take it out and put it back into stock. Or do you run it as two separate businesses? So the stuff that goes to the flea market is not on eBay at all?
It's not on eBay, but it's still the same business. But it's,
separate stock.
Separate stock, separate places.
Steps. So if, you know, I'll take it to the booth. If that stays there for a couple of months and it doesn't sell, bring it home, list it. So it's kind of a cycle.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like it because it makes complete sense for me that it gives you your fix of face-to-face, just gives you that kind of that retail feel like what you used to have. And then you have the eBay side of things as well. But for anyone looking at, and by the way, I loved watching the, because Andrea does like the prep videos. And then I watched the one of you selling at, is it Margate? Was the recent one?
Yeah.
Margate, selling a Margate one. And then little Jeff, like, involved, like, going around sniffing the other dogs every time. You're right, Jeff, you're right. It is, honestly, it's brilliant. But for anyone looking at kind of getting a booth, because to be fair, you don't really have to speak about anything like that, but more so, you know, do they sell there for you because you go there and you're like, oh, I've had a few sales. I don't really know how it works. I've seen a few people do it, but I don't really know like the terms of it. And then also with the flea market stuff, I'd never seen anything like that as well. You can tell how like restricted I've been with just like certain forms of like sourcing and selling and all that kind of stuff. So for those two avenues, for anyone who is strictly like buys at a car boot, flips on eBay, buys on Vinted, all that kind of stuff, and charity shops, for something completely new, and it might be really useful for them. If you could talk about just those two things in a little bit of detail in terms of like how it works.
All right. Do you want to explain how the booth works?
The booth is fairly simple, really. They do vary from location to location. For example, we only pay a rent for our space. So we pay a weekly rent, which, to give you an idea, like 6 by 6 square, and we now have 3 of those. It's £40 a week. And that's it. We don't pay any commission. Whereas I was talking to Tom, the English picker, who I'm hoping to get on for one of our chats like this to talk about exactly this stuff. He pays space rent to rent his space and a 10%, which was how it was when we briefly had a cabinet up in Norfolk in a booth space. So they do vary, but then that's it. Once your stuff's in there, they sell it for you and you keep the money, minus any percentage that they take and the rent that you're paying.
Yeah.
Flea markets is a whole different ball game. Do you want to explain how that works?
Yeah, flea markets, basically finding them advertised locally. We've paid, when we do the deal flea, that's £25 for a day. And they give you a 6-foot table. And yeah, basically you pay, you book it in, you turn up and you fill your table. And yeah.
Yeah, some
really.
restrict you a bit and it's just vintage, or some might allow you to do crafted stuff, but some will restrict what you can sell. So if you turn up with a load of Pokemon, it might not fit in, for example, but you can ask those questions ahead of time. What can I sell there? And that's it. It's kind of like a slightly more upmarket boot sale, I would suggest, a flea market. I don't know if upmarket's the right word, really.
And what I was going to say about the booth as well is that it's not really quite as simple as you just take your stuff, you leave it in the booth and walk away and leave it for weeks and expect lots of things to sell, because it's like, you know, it has its own sort of natural algorithm, if you know what I mean. It's like eBay. You have to keep feeding the beast, so you have to keep going at least once a week to tidy it up, to make sure that it looks nice, to put new stock in it. Otherwise, if you just go away and leave it for weeks, you know, you'll end up with a mess, and you come back and you've not sold as much as you probably would have done if you'd have put the effort in. If that makes sense.
There's a little bit of skill to that I've realized I don't own. I do not possess making things look pretty and nice and presentable. I just don't have that. Andrea does. So we're going to go down today, and I'm saying to Andrea, can you go in my space and make it look presentable? Because I don't have those brain cells that work that way. So that's our task today, to make my space look nice.
I think what you were saying there as well, with £25 for the flea market, that's pretty reasonable. I mean, most car boots now charge you what, £15-20, and that's just for the morning. So with the flea markets, you're there all day. So is it what, like a 10 till 4 kind of thing? What kind of hours are you there at a flea?
Yeah, the Margate one was 11 till 4. The deal flea is generally 10 till 2.
Okay. So a good amount of time, and it's at a good time. I moan all the time, especially this time of year. I know the boot sales are slowing down, but where's the car boot sales that start at lunchtime, or where's the car boot sales that start at 2 o'clock? Why do they have to start even now at 6 a.m.? It doesn't make any sense. So I guess you get a different kind of clientele who will come to them as well. So you might get the people who have already been to the car boot who come straight there. But you also get the people who don't want to set the alarm for 6 o'clock on a Saturday or Sunday, and they want to come out at that sort of time. So it makes perfect sense. And for £25 and they provide the table, I think that's pretty good. Yeah,
and it's a completely different clientele as well, because a boot sale, people are expecting to get something for 50p or a pound, or
sure.
You know, when you go to the flea market, people are, you know, they're buying into some sort of lifestyle, and they just, you know, love the sort of artiness of it and want something cool and don't mind paying for it. So
yeah, I was going to say, I think it's a very, very different clientele. We sell at boot sales as our kind of end of line, blow out the stuff.
Sure.
And we will be everything on the table 50p kind of people, because it's there for a reason. We've tried to sell it online, or it's part of a bundle or part of a pickup stock that doesn't work online for us. And we go and we blow it out, and people are just filling their bags with 50p stuff. That is not a flea market, not in our experience.
Yeah.
We'll sell art for like 30-40 quid for a picture, that kind of stuff. You'd struggle at a boot sale to get more than a £5 on a painting, whatever it is, in my experience. At a boot sale.
So you're kind of selling to maybe the end user at the flea market, where the car boot, it might be going to other resellers who might want to make a bit of money, and you've got the end user. But at the fleas, it is more than people, like you say, who want a piece of art or a piece of pottery, what they're going to have at home, and not necessarily resell. Is that how you look at it?
100%. Sure. And it's not that dealers aren't there, and there will be dealers there picking up that gem that somebody doesn't quite know what they've got. And of course, we're sold to dealers all the time, but
definitely.
but you get more bang for your buck at a flea market.
Yeah,
for sure.
I wanted to go into the title today. So more than just the job, it's a way of life, and not so much just about the flexibility of this job, but probably what Andrea summed it up very well in her video when she came back, was giving everyone a rundown what was going on with her channel. And you were saying about the fact that you moved, you know, you love kind of vintage items, you live in a vintage home, and sustainability. I think that's a real key thing for you guys. Reusing, recycling is really at the core of what you guys do. So kind of that being at the core of what you do, what does that mean to you guys on a day-to-day basis, and how much, like, how important is that to you in what you do with reselling? Because I mean, you even renovate your home with you know, secondhand items. It is literally everything to you guys. So yeah, just I wanted to touch on that a little bit as well.
Go for it.
Well, yes, it is basically our entire lifestyle. We're really passionate about reusing, repurposing, and buying and selling secondhand, because we're really passionate about encouraging other people to buy vintage and to buy secondhand as well. So it's not just a business to us, you know, it's just a way of life. There's so much in this world that is just wasteful.
The waste is shocking. It really,
you know,
is.
I haven't bought new fashion for many years now. We kit ourselves out in charity shops or on Vinted or anything that's secondhand.
And also, there was a time when people would really look down on you for that. I love the fact that it's kind of trendy now. For once in my life,
It's
I'm
definitely changing.
I've never been trendy. What's that about?
We didn't ever buy anything new for Ellen when she was a baby. We used to buy clothes for her in charity shops.
Yeah.
We used to buy her toys at boot sales. And my family just couldn't understand it. You know, this is 24 years ago. But they just couldn't get their heads around it.
So Ellen was kitted out in like Oshkosh and really fancy
Gap
stuff.
Jumpers.
And Gap
everything.
and stuff we literally couldn't afford to buy. So she was this lovely, you know, kitted out baby. But it was all secondhand. So we were actually saving money, yet she was kitted out in this really lovely, high quality stuff. Yeah, it's just been a passion of ours for a long time, before the businesses.
Yeah.
So I mean,
building a business around that, and, you know, using our YouTube channels as well to encourage other people to do the same.
It was a natural step. It really was. And a funny story is, to the point where the house we had in Hitchin, where we started the channel, we were living in that house. We bought our kitchen on eBay. Somebody was redoing a kitchen, and the one they were ripping out was only 4 or 5 years old, really quite high spec. And I bought it off eBay, the whole kitchen. They just ripped it out. I hired a van and went and picked it up. So I paid, I think it was £400 for a kitchen that I spoke to the guy. I think he spent 6 or 8 grand on it. I can't remember, something like that. But that's how we've always lived, right? So we had a fairly fancy, we had to make it fit our kitchen. It wasn't perfect, but it was, you know, made sense to me at the time.
Yeah,
I agree with you guys. I think it has changed, and I don't know when the change happened, but even for myself, there was no way I would ever go out to a charity shop and buy a secondhand clothing item. But it makes you really think. And I think the more I've been doing clothing, the more I buy stuff and I'm like, you know what, this is practically worn once, or sometimes not even worn at all. And then when you go into the high street shops and you start spending money on brand new clothing, I'm so tight where I'm like, I can't justify spending £60 on a jumper when I can go to the charity shop and get one for £3. That, as I said, is sometimes not even been worn or worn once, etc., etc. So I think the stigma around it has changed for a lot of people, including myself, where, you know, give it 10 years ago, I wouldn't be seen dead walking into a charity shop. Like, I'll be too scared in case someone saw me come out, you know, and the stigma around it. But I think now, even like for a younger generation, it's cool to thrift. And I think that's what's changed. I think people like going and thrifting older vintage items, where beforehand it was like, no, I need the most modern upcoming brands and trends. Otherwise, I'm not going to fit in. So, yeah, I think it's great. And I think, you know, YouTubers and resellers have helped that. by displaying what is available out there and how you can save things from going to landfill. So yeah, I love it, and I love going out finding stuff to sell. But the amount of stuff I buy, and I'm like, oh, I'm tempted to keep that myself, is creeping up. And you've got to be careful because you can't keep everything. We're here to make money. But when I say I need a new top, here's one for £2 from the charity shop, or I have to go to the shop and buy one for £30, then I'm like, I'm just going to keep that £2 top. It's fine.
Well, how many times have we spoken to resellers and it comes up where it's like, I find it so hard to go to the shops and buy new stuff now. Other resellers say to us,
really bad,
because you realise you can, if you wait long enough, you'll find that at a boot sale cheap. And when we do give in and buy something new, you know we're finding that somewhere the week after secondhand. It's so
always.
annoying.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes we'll go into a new shop and we'll be like, how much?
What?
Just,
Yeah. Because you're so used to being at a boot sale or wherever. And it's like, oh my God.
It's incredibly tough to buy retail now. It is just almost impossible. And I love like M&S, Uniqlo. Me and James love this brand, and it's like it's fairly reasonable in comparison to other stuff, but it just hurts. It kills.
It does. And talking a little bit about kitting out like the kitchen and stuff, I remember when we first bought this house, we bought so much stuff on Facebook Marketplace, eBay, and other places. I remember our first sofa was £20 on Facebook Marketplace. And I remember sitting on it and you would sink right to the floor. It was that bad. And I always say to Leanne, oh, it will do. Look, we're just moving in. It will do for now. And I think we kept that sofa for about 4 years in the end because I was so reluctant to buy a brand new one. I finally gave in. And our brand new sofa was like £650. And I cringed at the idea of buying a brand new sofa for that because I always go back to, well, we got that for £25, so let's get another one for £50, and that'll last another 3 or 4 years. So there is some things that you might need to go out and buy new because, you know, it's important. But I think especially like with regards to like moving into a house, when you first start, there's so much out there that people are giving away. And doing this challenge on YouTube, the 0 to 10,000 challenge, looking on Facebook Marketplace, if I had space to do it and if I wanted to do the bulky stuff, the amount of furniture that people give away is crazy. Sideboards, side cabinets, beds, the whole lot. So you can get out a whole house for practically pennies compared to going and buying it new. So yeah, I'm glad the stigma, well, for me, the stigma's changed. For some people, it probably still hasn't changed. But for me, it's definitely changed where if I can get it secondhand, I'll buy it secondhand.
Yeah, well, it definitely changes your perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah. We've got some great stories over the years about buying furniture. We bought a table and chairs for our dining room for £21, I seem to recall, on eBay. We used it for probably 10, 15 years and then sold it for 50 quid. Right? It's just madness. And we bought a great big corner leather, real leather sofa on eBay. We did pay up for that, like 300, 400 or something, but it would have been thousands of pounds new. And then we went to pick it up in a camper van, and we luckily took our Ford Estate with us as well, and we only just got it in. It was just laughable. All of these people trying to fill up the camper van with this massive 4-piece.
Luckily, it was modular, so it
Yes.
take it apart.
Oh yeah, and then when we moved house, it wouldn't be right for this house, so we sold that, and we got half our money back for that, and we owned it for 12 years. Right.
That's what I love about it. Like, get it for a great price. Like, for instance, say stuff that I buy, car boots, vintage, charity shop or whatever, and then I'm like, you know what? I actually love this. This fits perfect. It looks sick. I'm going to wear the hell out of it. And then in the end, either get my money back, make a little bit, or make a tiny loss. It just, to me, it's just, it's just so. And by the way, me 3-4 years ago, no chance, no way. Like James was saying, we can get caught dead in a charity shop. But it's changed so much, and I think just like this way of life, it definitely changes your perspective. And I don't know whether it's changing on a wider scale anyway. It might be.
I hope so. I really do.
And just quickly on that subject, if you apply those kind of thrifty thoughts and practices through a lifetime, you will save yourself and your family tens of thousands of pounds easily.
Yeah, and imagine the impact on the planet that you're helping as well. So
if you just look at it purely from your bank balance, it makes sense, and you're not losing out. Generally, you're getting higher quality things than you would be able to afford otherwise. Anyway, I would wax lyrical on this point for way too long.
I want to get to so many different points, but the most important stuff I feel is you guys in the chat. You got any questions for Nick and Andrea? Put them in, because it's context, it's perspective, it's everything. So I'll try and dedicate as much time as I possibly can to those. But there is still so much that I want to speak about, and we don't have 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. So yeah, I'm going to go down the chat now, just the previous questions that have come in. All the YouTubers I watch in the chat, mad. Let's get to some questions. So yeah, good morning everyone. So Xander, hey Nick and Andrea, question: do you prefer the eBay glory days of when there was a lot less competition, or are you more excited about the future of reselling on various platforms? Good old days or right now / future?
Shall I answer quick
Yeah,
first?
go on then.
I do hark back to the glory days. Not so much that it was easier on eBay, but the stuff I would find. Honestly, I would go out to boot sales and find a SNES every weekend, right? Not even making it up. N64s were everywhere. But I know it's a different time, and the big kind of game collecting thing hadn't really kicked off. But the stuff I'd find, Game and Watches, every other weekend I'd be finding them. I was collecting them back then. You know, stuff that I was into and I'm still into, but now I never find it. That's why I hark back.
Yeah.
You know, you'd find My Little Ponies every weekend.
Every week, the G1s.
Yeah.
That was great. But, you know, nothing's ever as rose tinted as you imagine, because we struggled with internet. We did, you know, there wasn't the amazing fast internet that we have now. You know, you get dial up. So, and also, you know, it took ages to upload anything to eBay. So we used to like bulk list offline, and then you'd have to let it upload overnight.
Yeah.
Also, with regards to that as well, and you guys were in this era, I remember the first thing I ever purchased on eBay, and it was on my dad's account. You had to send like a postal order to pay for the item. And how crazy is it? It's like an instant checkout. You had to send a postal order, they would receive it, they would have to cash it, and then they would ship the item. And it used to be such a process. But
what I do miss about that is that people were not in a hurry.
Nope.
It wasn't like, I ordered this yesterday, where is it? You know, it was, I've sent a check, I'll get it in a couple of weeks, you know, and people didn't mind that, and they weren't in a hurry. But the one downside of checks is that one time we went to a jumble sale, and Nick had a wallet full of checks that we were going to bank, and someone stole his wallet.
No.
Yeah. A big percentage of our income was checks and postal orders. And we were going into town to pay them in, and we dropped off at a little, I remember it was like it was yesterday, a little jumble sale. And I happened to put my wallet down for a second whilst I looked at something before paying for it. And somebody must have just reached their arm in, took it off the table. And I don't know how many hundreds of pounds. It was a lot of money back then for us.
Yeah.
All gone. And there was no kind of comeback. It wasn't a go back to your buyer, send me another check kind of deal. It just, you know, it didn't work like that. So we just wrote it off.
Yeah, I could see the pain. What I was going to say is I can literally see when you speak about like the SNESes and then Andrea speaking about My Little Pony, I can see like the enthusiasm and the passion around that sort of stuff. And it made me die when I watched you go to Simon's setup, the Gentleman Marketeer, and you got the boxed like it's like a train set or something like that out. And honestly, it was that, and then it was something else, and you lit up. And I was like, right, so Simon, like me, gets very happy and excited over processes and everything being efficient and in order. And then you see this boxed train or Meccano, whatever it is, and you light up. And I'm like, this is like such contrasting views and like passions around this, like essentially reselling as well, but so different. It was just so good to watch. So yeah, I mean, if you always had that around mainly toys, and then I noticed that someone said about have you got your media in your booth and stuff like that, so you're very much media, CDs as well, but where has all of that come from?
I am a kind of reformed collector / hoarder, right? So I morphed my passion for things and collecting and love of vintage and all of that stuff into a business. So I am still that kid who collects postcards and Matchbox labels and all of that stuff, and toys, but I somehow turned it into a business. So that it's essentially the collector in me, I think, coming out. But I like stuff. I have too much stuff, and I always will.
And then Lindsay says, love the video. If you're getting the booth all set up, what have you got in your booth, Nick? Is it all your media, etc.?
No, media is not. I put some in there. I'm really trying to find out what will work, because within reason we can sell anything in the place we're in. So I have put a bit of that in, but I want to get toys and games. Really, I put all the dinosaurs in there because they look amazing. If you don't know, I bought a collection of Jurassic Park dinosaurs, some of the great big, like 3-foot ones. So they're all in there. But I want to do as much vintage collectible toys and games, board games, that sort of stuff is the idea. Just got to find out if there's a market for it in there and if it will sell.
Okay, and then
the glory days a little bit more as well. I've spoken about this many times. Is when I first started reselling, it was during the first lockdown, really, and the Nintendo Wii bundles were what I really honed in on, because we were picking up. Me and my cousin were doing a little bit of this together, and we would pick up stuff from Marketplace. And look, I know you guys got absolute pelters for your video where you went and picked something up on the doorstep. It made no sense whatsoever. Believe me, myself and everyone else was doing exactly the same. And we're picking up Wii bundles for £15-20. And you would list them on eBay for 100 plus, and they would sell within minutes. It was just a constant turnover. And now you go to a car boot and it's a big Wii bundle and someone's asking for £15. You're like, oh, I can't pay £15. It's just fell off again. So it's funny how things come in and out, and it can go full circle. And Pokemon is one of them I always think about, because I had the original Pokemon cards all in the binder. My mum and dad sold them at the car boot when I was younger, probably for about £10 or £15, because at the time, Pokemon been and gone. It wasn't fashionable anymore. No one wanted the cards. Now, if you had the original 99 Pokemon stuff, the full set in the binder, you're looking at thousands of pounds. So it's funny how things constantly come in and out.
Yeah. And if we had a crystal ball, we would literally be, sitting on a floor. We had accounts with Nintendo. I had boxes and boxes of sealed Pokemon cards stacked up in the shop. And we had, we used to, when the new Pokemon games came out on, it was back then, it was Game Boy Advance, we'd get piles of sealed boxes of them all. But of course, you can't think that way at the time. Oh, I'll put this as a loss. We've got to earn them. We've got to earn a living, turn them over for 25 quid or whatever they were. But yeah, crystal balls.
Exactly. And imagine how much stuff we'd have ended up with if we kept putting stuff aside.
I get asked that question, actually. Do we put anything away for the future? And the answer is no, because where does that stop?
Yeah, and it's a gamble at the end of the day. I mean, it might go up 5-10%, but how many times could you have flipped something in order to achieve probably way beyond the increase of it? But Pokemon went nuts. I don't think many people saw that, especially 90s, early 2000s, 2010s. I mean, who would have known that a Charizard PSA 10 would be worth 200 grand? No one's going to know that. So it's it's very, very hard. I collect football cards, and I've stored some away for the past since COVID, and they've gone up like considerably, because now a lot of these sidemen on YouTube, which are huge influencers in the UK, they're ripping boxes, they're getting involved, and it's getting me hyped. I'm like, I was into this in COVID. Now the cool guys are into it. What's going to happen with this? So I'm holding, but I'm also selling off a little bit of my collection, because I want a really nice confined, like one where I'll just like pull them out, because I'm going to have a little display behind me with some of them displayed. And I can't wait. But anyway, that's a different thing. But Dig Vintage, question about pricing. So we're going to go through the next three quickly, because I want to get on to especially the charity stuff that you guys were involved with the other day. I really want to speak about that. I want to speak about the YouTube journey. I want to speak about, and then also if people do trickle in with some questions. So Dig Vintage was saying, pricing comparisons of stock between online and booth, online/booth and flea market. Is this about fees, costs, or what the market will bear?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Pricing. And I guess a lot of that comes down to what you feel is right with where you're selling.
Yeah, and I suppose I'm still learning with the booth and with flea markets, because I've been in online selling and in that headspace for so long, but I'm trying to just think about pricing it a bit less than I would if I was going to sell it online, because obviously you've got fees, you've got postage, etc. So that's my starting point, really. But when we do flea markets, we take offers anyway. So we price it, and then we tell people we take offers. There's a sign on the table that says we take offers, and it finds its price.
Yeah, I suppose when we're selling face to face, particularly if you're selling a great big vintage, we had these oil lamps, pure glass oil lamps, which I have packed one of those before. We did sell one online. We had 3 of them, and we're happy to take a bit less than we get on eBay because we're not paying the fees for a start, and I don't have to spend maybe an hour packing the hell out of that thing, right? So I'll happily take £5-10 less and just hand it to someone, and they can walk away with it. It's their problem.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's an individual's choice. Do you want to keep hold of an item for as long as it takes to get the full asking price, whatever that might be in your head, or you turn it over and get it gone and quick? And we are leaning way more towards that end of things. We have been evolving over time into we'll turn it over. We're not in the storage business. Someone said that to me years ago, and it stuck.
Was it George?
We're not in the storage business. Although looking at my tack code,
Was it George? George says it all the time, but I don't know if he got that from you.
George Ross?
Yeah.
I don't think it came from George, but anyway, yeah. I hope that answers the question.
I've heard that quoted many, many times and stuff. So first of all, I don't get, Nick. You always seem, every time I see you packing that kind of thing on your channel, you seem to really enjoy it, and I don't get that. I stress out when I think of anything breakable. Actually makes me what I like. I sold some Now cassettes yesterday, and even packing them this morning, I was bubble wrapping, boxing, putting foil film, and I was thinking, oh, he's going to get damaged. Have I packed them well enough? And I'm shaking the box, and I'm thinking, this is surely packed well enough. But you get real enjoyment and satisfaction, it seems, over packing something that's very fragile, and when it arrives safe, that must give you real joy. But for me, it's the complete opposite. I just stress over that.
Yeah, I think it might be a stretch to say I enjoy packing the glass and stuff. I enjoy the process of finalizing a sale. I think packing to me is I've nailed it. This has gone out. I've made some money.
Sure.
It's the end of the process. So it's probably more that I enjoy the finality of this is another one, another item number 200,000 and whatever we've sold or whatever it's right gone. But can I honestly say I enjoy packing breakables? I don't think so. Not that actual, because it takes so long.
It comes across in your videos that you get real joy out of it, which is good. But I'm glad you're not, a packing excited guy who gets a real buzz out of it.
Yeah, that's a stretch, maybe.
Well, I mean, like when you was with Simon, when you was comparing, I mean, you saw his little table and you went, "This is your packing table," because you was like, it's tiny. Whereas Simon, it's basically said, it's just this little bag, and then it goes in here, way more than enough space. And then you said that your one was huge, and that you dedicate a lot of time and space to packing. And then I think you had a conversation about the kind of choose where, if you want to sell like high ASP stuff, you might have to store it in weird and wonderful ways, and then it might take a lot of time packing, but you get joy out of that. So there's just so many different ways to go about this, and it was just an interesting video because, like I said, it was just 2 completely different perspectives. But when you saw the table, you was like, "Is that it? Is that the only space you have for packing?"
Yeah, it was funny, and it was really interesting when Simon started pulling out the toys and games. I think I said to him, "You're a dark horse. Here we go. You've got some good stuff." But I think he secretly quite enjoyed dealing with that, and it was interesting. It really was a kind of clash of 2 worlds, but that is the beauty of what we do. We all find whatever works for us and for our business, whatever that might be. And we said it until we're blue in the face. There's no right or wrong. And me making videos about my process, whatever that is, I've never said this is how to do reselling. I've never said I'm particularly good at it. It's just what works for me and how our business has evolved. And it's still evolving. Come back in 5 years, it'll be completely different probably. I don't know. Yeah. But never have we said this is how to do it.
We always say that reselling is not one size fits all. It works. You can make it work for your life and for your lifestyle. It's not something that you have to fit yourself to. It fits to whatever you need from it.
And when Simon said the choose your hard, which I think he was quoting from somebody else, I can't remember who, I think that's right. And it's your business. And if there's a pain point in your business, the beauty of this is there's so many options within reselling. Just change it. If clothing's driving you mad, as it was for me, and I know that's what works
eventually for me.
We just kind of removed that. Ironically, I sold a coat last night. But I don't tend to do clothing because that doesn't excite any passion in me. So I removed it. If that was my hard, I took it out, right?
Yeah, and I think that's is a perfect segue to go on to the YouTube side of things as well, because from the get go, I think that's kind of how I like to approach it. Is that this is how I do it. It's not how to do it, and you also catch a lot less flack. And I just think, like what Andrea said there is so many different ways to do this that it isn't necessarily the right way, but it's just like it's what's working for me at this moment in time. It might not work for me in like a year, or it might be the completely different thing. There might be a much better way to do it, but I'm okay with it at the minute. So yeah, that's kind of the way that I kind of approach it. And me and James talk about a lot. Not like, and if people say like, how do you do this or how do you do that? It's literally like, in my own personal experience, this is how I've done it. So then, you know, it's not like, oh, Luke told me to do this or that advice and all that kind of stuff, because it's literally just what I'm doing. You can choose to do it, or you can choose to do something else. But your journey on YouTube 11 years ago, like we said at the beginning. So, and I think I remember it might have been on the one where I joined you guys on your Sunday live, or it might have been something completely separate. But I think Nick said, I can't remember a time where we haven't been doing YouTube. I don't really remember what it was like to do it before. So then YouTube compared to now, is it any different? Because I mean, I watch your picking and packing videos as well, and I don't know whether you changed your style, but I think you maybe have taken a little bit of a is it a leaf out of like Ricky Reseller's book, where you're just like, I'm just going to do the video, no matter what it's like, no matter what the editing style, anything like that. I'm just going to get videos out, because at the minute I feel like you're absolutely pumping videos. When I look at it, it's like 1 day ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago. There's a lot coming out at the minute. But going back to the beginning, I mean, you've also said that there's been no negatives. I think it's just been all positives for you guys. Maybe a tiny bit of like comments. I don't know. Take me through this journey as well, because this has been massive for you guys.
Wow, that's a big question. Yeah, you said what are the differences between early days and now. Within our little tiny corner of the internet, right? Reselling UK, because it's very UK insular based, really. Most of our viewers are UK anyway. When we started, that world was that many people. That's how many people I knew doing it, and we all knew each other really well because there were so few of us. Now, I'll be honest, I barely watch any other reselling content for whatever reason. And whereas then, if any of these people I knew within the community, which was 5 people strong, we'd all watch all of our videos because that's all there was. Now there's hundreds of channels in our space just in the UK. So that's a huge difference. It is harder to get noticed. It's harder to get your videos noticed because the competition is so huge. It's not a novelty anymore. Some specky bloke talking about selling stuff on eBay. That's not a novelty anymore. I was a novelty act back then, right? And I was just lucky to make the decision to start early. Let me put that out there. I'm an average bloke doing things very averagely in my basement, right? But I happened to start on YouTube early, so I got ahead of the game. But yeah, it was a genuinely life-changing choice to do that. I now have friends for life purely through doing YouTube. It's given me so much personal confidence in what I do and in myself.
Well, you can just see that from the very first video to now, and the difference in confidence.
Yeah. Oh, mate. I was just rabbit in the headlines. Hello, YouTube. Yeah.
Can I quickly just say, because you mentioned about taking inspiration from Ricky, and I think it was really that something that Ricky said just changed it in your head, because you were too much in your head of, I've got to be, you know, talking about the production of it, or I've got to do this, and you were too much in your head of how you should do it. And then Ricky said, just do it, you know, just
we had a little bit of a chat
of the camera, and that helped you to just let go of everything and just pick up the camera and just be yourself and not think about it too much.
Yeah, YouTube has always gone through waves of I don't know what the word is, motivation, I guess. And I started overthinking things. Now I'm virtually doing daily content, and it's because I stopped really thinking too much about it. Sounds really simple, but it's not easy to get that through your thick head, right? Yeah.
And I think, you know, imposter syndrome sort of sets in a little bit, doesn't it? And
all the time.
Yeah. And you start to think, you know, what the heck am I doing? Everybody else does it better than I do. I'm talking about myself for, more than you.
Can we,
speaking for you on
when you
that.
say imposter syndrome, we had a really brilliant chat with George Ross, because we were invited up by eBay to present his award at the awards do in London, really fancy event. The imposter syndrome for us and George and Amy was right up here that day. It was crazy. Everyone suited and booted, and this really fancy posh dinner, and then getting up on stage, me talking about stuff and giving this award to George. It was just so bizarre, but a really good event. But yeah, if anyone's wondering, yes, we feel like imposters at events like that. 100%.
My question for you guys is, I've spoken many times that you are my inspiration for starting reselling, but also for YouTube as well, in the sense of, do you know what, just pick up the camera and do it. And you're right, that is so tough at times. And I get imposter syndrome when I'm talking about my eBay sales, because I'm like, my sales aren't great. And then you see other people's sales and they're flying, and you're like, why is anyone going to want to care about my epoxy, £500 this week on eBay, when you can go and watch Luke's video and he's done 2,000. And so that always plays in your head. You're like, is it worth me showing? Who's going to care? Mm-hmm. But where did your inspiration come from for starting the channel? Because a lot of us have had inspiration from the likes of you guys, for George, etc. Who inspired you? Because obviously, was it like an American reseller you watched and you thought, oh, I could do this in the UK? So where did that inspiration come from?
The first channel I started actually watching on YouTube, I was new to YouTube just before I started producing videos. I hadn't used YouTube or watched it.
Yeah, that was Ellen watching Zoella back then.
Right.
You were like, oh, what's this YouTube thing?
Yeah, so I think our daughter introduced YouTube to me, the concept of it. And then I found a woman in Chicago, I believe it is, called Mum the eBayer, who was actually going dumpster diving in the posh neighborhoods in Chicago. I think she still makes videos. Mm. And I was like, oh, wow. And the fact there was an eBay element in that, I was like, oh, she's talking about the world I'm in. And then I did a little bit more searching. I found a handful of channels, I think most of which are long gone now, talking about exactly what I was doing. And I was like, oh my God, it's my people. There are other people doing this. Because at that point in my life, in our lives, it felt like we were the only people selling on eBay. There was no community talking about it apart from the eBay community boards that we didn't get involved with, really. So it was an eye-opening moment of there are other people doing what I do and talking about it. And I thought, I've been doing this for, at that point, I don't know, 10 years or something. Yeah. I've got something to say. So I just, and then I used to record through my very old Mac directly into YouTube. So you'd kind of live stream into YouTube and it would record it. And then that was your video. And the first video I made, it kept failing. The upload would fail. So I did that first video like 4 or 5 times, and I was effing and jeffing at the
swearing that came out of the office.
And I said to Andrew, this is not a word of lie. I said to Andrew, if this doesn't upload and work this time, I am effing done with YouTube.
I think you're thinking that's a sign saying that I'm not meant to do this. It keeps failing. It's telling me something.
The last time I did it, it actually uploaded and worked, and it was there as a little video on YouTube, and I published it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And then I think it was the next week, we went to Turkey to stay with some friends out there. And we were telling them, what Nick was doing. And you were looking, you were like, I've got 14 subscribers.
By the end of that holiday, I reached 30 subs. And I was beyond, I was telling anyone that would listen about this. Look, I've got subscribers. And they're like, what does that mean? It means, I don't know, they've chosen to want to watch more. Right? Yeah. I've never been more excited than getting to 30 subs.
It's crazy, isn't it? When you start any new channel, I felt the same with the crime channel. You get 10, 15 views on your first video and you're like, what do you mean there's people out here watching me? And the YouTube's algorithm is so clever. And I think I underestimate it a lot. And what you're saying there about just recording content, get out of your own head. And sometimes you can over obsess with the thumbnail and title, super important. Yes, the description's important, the keyword's important, but sometimes that consistency is the most important thing overall. And I struggle with that constant consistency. I go through a stage of being 100% consistent, and then I see eBay start dipping down. And I'm like, right, I can't be 100% consistent with YouTube because eBay's dipping down. Let me be 100% consistent with eBay. YouTube's dipping down. But it seems like with you, Nick, even more so in the last 3-6 months or so, your consistency, you've found a way to do them both. at a consistent level. So was that just getting out of your own head and just saying, I'm going to record, it's going up, we're going to move on, compared to over obsessing with it?
Watch this space, because it might all fall off a cliff soon. But
Maybe so.
Let's stay positive. Let's be optimistic.
I'm an overthinker at the best of times.
Yeah.
And as you just described very well, YouTube can be a struggle to put yourself out there. We are putting ourselves out on the line to be viewed, scrutinized, and that. And if you're not in a very good mental headspace, it's hard. It's the hardest thing to do, to pick up the phone and talk sometimes, if perhaps you're not in the right headspace. And if your business is suffering, if there's stuff going on in your personal life, making a video, picking up the phone and talking to the world is not difficult. And being open and honest about the struggle can be twice as hard. So those are often the reasons why it becomes a struggle. Because life is like this, right? Up and down. Not always do I want to share that. So then what do I talk about? So there are reasons, but yeah, I'm in a rhythm at the moment of daily, and I do have Ricky to thank for that, kind of pushing me just by being Ricky and being really good at what he does, pushing me to be better and improve and find ways of getting out of my head and overthinking it and just talking about what the hell I'm doing. And weirdly, people respond to that, even if it's a chaotic mess of a day, documenting that if I can. People love that because I'm relatable, because I'm a bit of a bumbling idiot half the time. So relatable, apparently. Right.
I think another thing as well, what a lot, and I know I've struggled with this, is when you're doing the same kind of content, in your own head, you say, this is boring. It's the same thing I do every day. Resell it as a job. You think about reselling a job, most of the stuff, and I've mentioned before, Luke always says to me, what's your plans today? And I'm like, listing stuff on eBay, the same thing we do every single, and in your own head, it feels like it's just that mundane, boring task. But for the viewers, they don't actually see it that way, because they're only seeing a small 10, 15, 20-minute snippet of your day or your week or whatever. But because you're doing it 24/7, it feels, in your own head, you say, who's going to actually want to watch this? So I've really struggled with that, kind of not making content, because in my own head, why would anyone watch this? It's boring. It's just the same stuff I do every single day. But to the viewers, it's not.
There's several things in that. People love repetition. I do in channels. I like to go to a channel and know what I'm going to get.
Yes.
So while sometimes I'm thinking, hang on, I'm literally saying the same thing I did last Monday, literally the same intro, and then picking virtually the same stuff off the top. But people love that they know what they're getting sometimes. Obviously, shake it up, do something, add some different stuff in there, but don't be scared to produce the same video on a Monday, kind of what I'm doing.
There was a great comment from someone recently where they said, I just feel like I'm watching a couple of friends who are neighbours. You know, it's just, you know, it doesn't matter what content you're putting out, I suppose. And I feel the same way when I watch videos that I, you know, channels that I enjoy, that you're interested in that person. So it doesn't really matter what the content is as such, because you're invested in that person.
Yeah, and sometimes when the kind of mind demons get in the way and you're not feeling particularly good about yourself, make it about the stuff. People are always interested in the stuff or the process. Yeah. I'm not a particularly process-driven person, but I can talk about what I'm doing or what my system might be. Don't make it about yourself, make it about the stuff. And that sometimes helps me get over myself if I'm overthinking it. Yeah, again, I've forgotten what the question was.
I don't even know if there was a question. I think that there was just a stupid amount there to like unpack and think about, and it was just a great rundown of your journey so far. I mean, I think exactly like that as well. Like, why would anyone be interested in watching me? I'm literally in my unit, and now I'm really trying to make it about the viewer. I think I told you when I joined you guys, I'm trying to make it about what the viewer can gain out of it, rather than how much I've sold over the weekend, the amount of items. It's like, right, what brands can you learn? I'm trying to basically put it onto the other people where they should be clicking. But yeah, I'm literally picking the same stuff every single week. But it just seems that some people just want to watch that. And that really fascinates me, because there's so many other people out there doing it as well. But at the same time, we are just a tiny section of like side hustle as a whole. Like reselling is just like a small little section of that. So I think there's so much room for other people to get involved. If you guys out there thinking about, you know, even starting a channel or anything like that, I mean, the benefits, and I think you touched on this quite a lot, just the benefits that you've gained out of it in terms of social, in terms of, you know, building confidence, in terms of relationships that you've got. There's been a lot of benefits along the way. So, and then also I wanted to touch on, how did the Sunday lives even start, and when did that start? Was it when you gained a certain amount of subscribers and you just thought, you know, let's connect with the people that subscribed? How did that begin? Because that's been going on for quite a number of years now as well.
I think the inspiration was Zahir and Beck when they were doing their lives, and we said we should do something like that. That'd be really good fun, you know, to do a regular live.
Yeah, and also I think I used to do a live stream with Zahir.
The Tat Chat.
And that was before you were even part of the channel. So I think around there it kind of evolved. What Zahir and I did for many years kind of naturally fizzled out. We didn't fall out or anything. We came to the end of that life. And then, like you say, they started doing a weekly show as a couple. And that was the natural progression when you got the confidence to come on and chat. So I think it was a natural thing. And then we found a slot. And it was Zahir who said, what would be good for the channel would be to have a regular time slot, so people will make a hole in their schedule for you. And he was bang on. That really helped the channel. It helped grow a core audience who tuned in once a week, exactly as you're building here with this. And we just stuck at it. If there's one thing we're good at, it is consistently, generally over time. We have blips, but consistency is one thing we can do, right? And I don't know how many years it's been regular Sunday, with the occasional miss if we're away. But that's been fantastic. And we have regular viewers that have been watching, you know, some for 10 years.
And it lifts us as well, because there can be days when you're just feeling really tired, or you're just not in the right headspace, and you think, oh, got to go live tonight. And then you do, and you chat to people that, you know, we recognize in the side chat, and I feel like you're just chatting with friends, and you get off and you think, oh, I'm so glad I did that, because that's really lifted me.
Can I just read a couple of comments that I thought were lovely?
Absolutely, I can try and bring them up. I'm trying to save some for, but yeah, go for it, Nick. I'll see if I can find it as well.
Big Vintage Leslie says, relatable content, not too slick. Love that. With a narrative, hooks me in. I want to know what happens next, so watch the next video. And I think that's the lesson, just showing what's going on in your world and keeping the content coming regular. People are hooked in, because you'll say, next week we're going to try and do this, or we've got a flea market coming up, or we're setting up a booth and we're going to take you down there next week and show you what's sold. All of those little hooks, whether you're doing it on purpose or not, they're going to be there. And it hooks you in. And that's something I think lacking before, because I was thinking of a video and then producing a video maybe, and there was no narrative going on.
It's not contrived, it's just sharing our lives, isn't it?
Being free enough to just say, this is what's going on, deal with it, right?
I love Sharon's comment there as well. Sharon's saying, it just skipped away from me. I'm not even a reseller, and I follow Nick and Andrea because they are both so down to earth, and their daily videos with their ups and downs also connect with my everyday life problems and anxiety. So I think it's very much a case of, like, I discovered you guys and I wasn't a reseller, but there was something about you guys, your personality and what you'd done that made me want to click that subscribe button and come and watch you. And like I say, at the time, I was watching what you sold. I was watching all the stuff you were doing on a day-to-day basis. I wasn't doing it myself, but you just relate to the person. So I think that's really important. It's great to hear that you guys, and you have helped so many people with certain things. And like with Sharon there, she's not a reseller. She might be interested in the future becoming a reseller, but she doesn't really care what you actually sell. She cares about what's going on with you guys and the fact you are relatable. And that's what your live has become for a lot of people. It's there. I always say your life is like the EastEnders episode they want to tune into every single week. Or we can say Heartbeat, because Heartbeat used to be Sundays. You are the Heartbeat episode.
Where's this going?
But it becomes a weekly thing where people know Sunday at that slot, Nick and Andrew are live. And like you say, you have been super consistent. The only time you haven't gone live is when you've had stuff going on, when you've took a short break. And even when stuff's gone on the Sunday, you've sometimes said, we're going to go live on Monday instead. So that consistency really pays off. And we try to be the same on this podcast. We've changed the day and time of this podcast so many times. And we've said to each other now, right, The slot is now Wednesday at 8 a.m. and we'll make exceptions for you guys because we know, Nick, you're a night owl and you stay up late. We get it. But Tommy just said there, 10 a.m. starts from now on, right? No, Tommy, 8 o'clock start, and that's going to be our slot. And we know it doesn't work for everyone, but that's going to be the slot.
It's so funny. We're talking about consistency, and you've moved it for us. The irony is brilliant.
Yes, yeah.
Can I just very quickly say that the comment that you highlighted from Sharon, I also feel like Sharon has become almost like a friend. Well, has become a friend to us. She sends us stuff. I talk with Sharon regularly, and it works both ways.
Yeah.
So she's brought something to our lives as well.
Yeah, 100%. And let's touch on that just quickly, if you don't mind. Making the decision to do YouTube all those years ago, when we were literally just talking to ourselves about eBay and nobody else, and felt like nobody even knew what it was back then in the early days, it's made us feel way less alone in this weird pursuit that we do. And that's been game changing. I think we offer a bit of that to our community. A lot of people are doing this solo, rattling around, maybe don't even have a partner to talk to about it. And things like our Sunday show and this sort of show that we're in now give people a touchstone to someone who understands what they're talking about, what they're going through with eBay, the weird little world we choose to inhabit. So yeah, and it gives us that as well, this sense of community. It's really important. It's really hard to describe what it gives you, but it is important.
I think I touched on it with you guys as well, and I think on your charity live when you jumped in with Simon, and Andrew highlighted it as well. And it was the key thing for me, or the biggest thing for me out of just doing this now. I mean, literally a couple of thousand subscribers, but the people, and when I say, like, when you use the term my people, similar personality, think the same way, have like similar hobbies, and the amount of people that have reached out, only really the people that are kind of like me, that have DM'd on Instagram or commented on YouTube. Yeah, it's really weird, that thing that comes up. And that's definitely been number one for me, is the people that you get to meet. And then when we go to the likes of eBay events, i.e. eBay Open, stuff like that, and then the kind of stuff that you guys put on around Christmas time, where everyone comes to the pub and you get together with people, that is huge. And I cannot understate the importance of that stuff, because when you meet people that either watch you or you've spoke to over the course of the year, and then you meet up in person and you do this weird thing called reselling together, like you've got that in common, and it's just epic. I mean, I absolutely love that about this. And even if you just have that aspect as the reason why you do YouTube, it makes it a hell of a lot less lonely. Because before I jumped on YouTube, I was doing this for about, I think, a year or so, maybe slightly longer, where I did it purely by myself in my mum and dad's house in my bedroom. That was it. Like, and I thought I was okay, and then I jumped in doing this, a little bit of Instagram, and now it's just like a different level.
It's mad what you say, Luke, because I think to myself, like, we met on the internet, Luke and I, and it sounds really weird when I tell people this. Me and Simon went on Luke's stag do and to his wedding, and that was all from meeting on this strange place called the internet. I remember the first time we met in person, it was like, oh, what do you mean, like, you're a real person and stuff? But from there, like, we've developed like really good friendship outside of reselling. So we'll speak about other stuff, not just eBay and stuff. And it's just mad, this world that we're all in. We're all doing the same effectively, like you said at the start. We're buying stuff as cheap as possible, and we're all trying to make it work and sell it for as much as we can. But the community really, do you know what? I've always thought the community is really good, but the live streaming stuff last weekend, and George's auction on Sunday on your channel as well, really made me think that this community is fantastic, because the amount of money raised and everyone kind of just getting together and doing something as a community. And you guys have done that so much with your channel as well. I mean, the live stream last week was great, but you've done many of them live streams as well. So yeah, the importance of community is definitely there. And as I say, I've got a really good friend in Luke now, where if I never spoke to him on the internet, that would never have happened. And yeah, going to his wedding was just strange. And Leanne always laughs. She's like, oh, you're online friends. And that's what it feels like. But yeah, it's just amazing the people you can meet.
Putting yourself out there, it just widens your horizons, and it just brings so much to you. Part of your question earlier we didn't answer was that the negatives associated with it. Are they there? Yes.
Do we talk about them? Not really. I don't see the point in, inviting more of it in. But we were trolled horrifically in the early days. We really were, because there were very few of us talking about eBay, and people were so protective about the big secrets of how to make money online. And here was this idiot talking about exactly what I do, which back then was fundamentally my videos were going to boot sales, showing exactly what I was buying and how much money I was going to make on it. I'd get people shouting at me at boot sales into my face.
Judas at us. Telling us we were disgusting and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
So the negatives were there and still are there, lurking in the shadows. But the positives it's brought to me outweigh that, tenfold, 100-fold, whatever. Right. So we just ignore it and get on with it.
I think I put out videos slightly different to my actual personality and who I am. And I saw a lot of videos about the fact that car boots, if there's like a little bit of drama involved, you can get a lot more views, etc., etc. And it wasn't a great response, to be honest. And to be fair, I didn't do anything wrong. It was just because I captured a moment, and I thought that was what you do. And now I really lean into who I am, because I really like the educational side of things and sharing and trying to give as much value in a short amount of time as possible. And I feel like the people that then, like what I was saying about you finding your people, the people that enjoy those sort of videos and enjoy in-depth, long-form podcasts about going in kind of fairly deep on reselling, I've now connected with a lot of those people, and it makes me want to lean in like 10 times the amount on it. And it just makes me feel so good putting out the stuff that is I don't know, kind of more connected with me in a way. It's like what you were saying about the whole sustainability and like, it just, yeah.
And we all inspire each other, because seeing you kind of try to lean into that element, giving more information, specifics about an item or why you might have picked something up or what it's worth. I'm trying to remember that not everyone knows why this is a particular whatever widget I'm selling, or what's good about this, or why you should pick up this version and not that version. Trying to remember that most people might not know that. I think everyone knows why I'm, so trying to remember to talk about each item when I'm picking it, the specifics of it or something. Yeah.
I love the fact that while we were talking about the positives of the community, etc., Tommy's put 1111 angel numbers, because it was at 1111 that we were talking about that. So I just wanted to point
it's a sign. It's got to be.
Yeah.
I'm very cautious of your time. There's a couple of questions that people did specifically put for you. I'm incredibly sorry, guys. There's been so much that we wanted to speak about, and for a selfish point of view, I just wanted to go as deeply as we possibly can without too many interruptions. So love for you guys in the chat, and we 100% see it and we appreciate it a lot. I'm just going to get to the questions now, because we would be here for so long, I'll tell you that. Jamie Dodger Flips is in the house. Do you also buy pre-owned footwear for yourself, Nick and Andrew? This was way back near the start, so sorry it took a long time to get to that one, but yeah.
I recently just bought myself a pair of boots off Vinted.
Oh, and you bought those as well. Do you want to show? These are really
they're
cool.
Only Primark, but they're cool.
They're only Primark, but they're Keith Haring. Do you know Keith Haring, the artist?
Yeah.
Primark, of all people, did a Keith Haring collab, and Andrea picked some up.
Yeah, I bought them for myself because my Converse are wearing out, and I saw those.
Oh, they're identical, aren't they? They're not Converse.
They're not Converse. He has done well. Obviously, he hasn't, because he's not with us anymore. But they've done a deal, collab. That's the word I'm looking for, with Converse as well. But these are Primark.
The Converse are worth a fair bit. I don't think these are.
Yeah, these are not worth reselling. If you find the Converse ones, definitely worth reselling. But Primark ones, not.
I used to wear nothing but Converse, and I bought all of them from eBay. But these days I wear Puma, and I buy those from eBay. So yes.
And then Dan Vintage Reselling question: what are your thoughts on selling vinyl records? I want to go into it, but I feel that even the smallest scratch to a record could affect seller feedback, even if you put it in the description. Now, I think this might be a big one for you guys.
It's a market all of its own, the vinyl space. I'm a vinyl collector and buyer, so I kind of know both sides of it. It's a huge subject in itself, but yeah, as long as you've described the condition, it shouldn't affect your feedback. If they're not happy, they can still return it. But yes, describe everything. Maybe over describe the faults, particularly in that niche, I would suggest. I would, if you're going to call it mint, I maybe don't call it very good instead, and then you're covered, right? It's collectors with a vinyl, me being one, we're fussy as hell. So what is it? Under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
I always get that the wrong way around. Yeah, but don't be scared to dabble in it. Most record collectors, although fussy, we're lovely people. You know, we're forgiving. Don't be too scared. They can always return it. Give it a go, I'd suggest.
And then Aspire Direct Marketing question for you all. So we'll start with you guys first. How did you realize you have achieved an acceptable level to yourself, either selling or YouTube? Was there any milestones you were aiming for, or is it ongoing?
Just ongoing, I think. We don't really set ourselves milestones, do we? As such.
No, not really. Yeah, the YouTube thing, we're just trying to be consistent and keep going. That consistent word again. The big achievements in our life tended to be financial with the business, paying off the mortgage. Buying the first house was a huge one. Paying off the mortgage. So we were driven in big financial goals, really. That's always what kept us going. But the driving force, let's talk about that quickly. The driving force behind everything we do is not working for somebody else. Mm-hmm. Full stop.
What about you, James?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, with it's constant goalpost moving. You hit a certain point on eBay and you're like, oh, okay, this is great. I've kind of hit to where I want to hit, but I want to try and make more. And YouTube could feel the same. I think for YouTube, when anyone starts a channel, the first goal is to get monetization, isn't it? I think that's the first goal that everyone kind of looks at and says, that's going to be my achievement. I don't know if you guys feel the same. I just wish there was more achievements with YouTube along the way, in the sense of you get monetized and then the next real YouTube award is the 100K, where they send you out something. I wish they'd done something at maybe 5K, 10K, 20K, but also not just subscribers, because that's something we can't control. And that was something I learned quite quickly. You can't control who subscribes, but maybe they should give out awards for views on a channel. You know, when you've hit 1 million views on your channel, 2 million views, I wish YouTube would actually give more back in that sense. So, but yeah, I'm the same. Milestones and stuff, they're just constantly changing.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't really know what an acceptable level, because that's the correct terms that he used. I think for me, it was similar to Nick, where it's like, I mean, I used to do every morning when I was staying at my missus' mum and dad's place. I used to drive past, when I first started all of this, the station I used to get the train into London, and it used to make me feel sick. And it very much kind of spurred me on in order to do this. I don't drive past it now, but it's very much like, it's just the thought of going back into that working environment. I say it to James and Simon all the time. I was like, I will do everything in my power to never, ever do that again. That's why I am pretty kind of regimented and some would say like driven with this whole thing. But yeah, for me, that's like the main thing in terms of like revenue or like money per year, stuff like that. I don't really think about that too much. And then when it comes to YouTube, at first it was just like to get 1,000 view video, and then it was to get to the monetization. And after that, I had no idea, because like James said, you can't really control that. It's more of the impact to other people and the messages. And, you know, you helped me find this. I went out to the car boot and had no idea about this brand, and I sold it for X amount. And, you know, I'm thinking about quitting my job and all this kind of stuff. It's that kind of stuff means way more than these like milestones that you make up in your head. I don't know if that makes sense. But with you guys, like James was saying, after 1,000, it's then 100,000, and you're like nearly 30K off. So is that something that's like in your mind, or you're just like, hopefully one day? Or
it's taken so long to get here, so
yeah,
I don't know. We'd just be happy to get to 70. I think
I've found it harder to gain subs in this space recently. I'll gain a load and then lose just as many the week after sometimes. So it is painfully slow. So I'm not going to focus on it. Just touching on that, we made I think on one of our live streams, we talked about what is success, and it kind of alludes to that last question. And I think you have to define success for yourself. And if that is, as you eloquently put, Luke, not going back to work or having that feeling of dread, you are constantly successful all the time. You're not working for somebody else. So you don't have to listen to somebody else banging on about, I turn over 200 grand a year. It's not relevant to you. Your success is not working for the man or not being stressed in your job, or whatever your success is. So defining your own success is a huge mental thing that I think we should think about more often, and then be grateful for being constantly successful doing what you want to do.
Yeah, and I think if I think about it now, and I spoke to Mrs. about it the other night, and it's like, oh, if someone gave me X amount of like millions, whatever, what would you then do? And I'd probably think about that, and I'd be like, I would travel a little bit. I'd want to go and see some stuff. But I think inevitably I'd want to come back here and just try and just give this a big crack and just carry on with this journey. Because I don't know, like the flexibility and the freedom to be able to, not so much freedom, but a lot more flexibility with this to go to the gym when I want to do stuff like this. Like it's approaching midday on a Wednesday. It's crazy, really. And yeah, I don't really know what much more I would want apart from a little bit more traveling and a tiny bit more passive with this, but then I would probably miss it. So yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, but yeah, there was one more question that I wanted to get to, and then we'll leave you guys to your day. But Andrea has made a huge U-turn since her Norfolk office, fostering halls. Now she's got the booth and selling at flea markets, totally downsizing her stock. Bravo. I wanted to put that one in there because that was a really nice message.
Yeah, thanks, Sharon.
It all evolves.
Yeah.
Don't be scared to evolve your business.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't quite have a I think it was what was it? The wisdom, the quotes that you guys did on the Sunday.
The words of wisdom. We haven't got anything for the end of the podcast. But
we don't have anything like that. But I just wanted to say, just from me and the chat, and James would say himself as well. We really appreciate you guys. I mean, when we started this podcast, which is around about a year and a half ago, I could only dream of having you guys on and joining you on your Sunday live and being able to talk in front of your viewers and everything like that. So yeah, you've inspired me a hell of a lot, and yeah, I appreciate your time today.
You are very welcome. All you have to do is ask. You could have asked a year ago, would have come on.
I spoke about this on my walk and talk this morning, and I mentioned the first time Nick, you came on to my live was when I'd done the first 24-hour live, and you jumped in at the end. And for me, it sounds really weird, probably to you, but for me, it was like meeting a real celebrity. I was like, what do you mean this guy, Nick, who I've been watching for years, has now given up his time to come and speak to me? And then when I've spoke to you before on my channel, on your channel, you've always said that. You've always said all people have got to do is ask. But I feel sometimes people feel that they can't ask because there's people probably in their head think about this hierarchy kind of level. But you guys have never been like that. And when we speak about getting guests on, we always said, like, we want you guys to come on because you've inspired us, not just us, but the community in so many different ways. And forget reselling. I'm talking about the stuff that you've dealt with outside of reselling. And it's so relatable. And then when you meet people in person as well, like when we meet you at the events, you guys are exactly the same as what you are on the screen. And I love that as well. And a lot of people you see on YouTube are exactly the same as what you see on screen. It's beautiful to see. And yeah, I always enjoy catching up with you guys at the different events. And Luke and I are going to make a real effort this year to come to your meetup in January. Yeah. So as soon as you've got the dates, you need to let us know.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have the date?
Sure.
Yeah.
I know we don't have words of wisdom as such, but can I read Tommy's comment out? Because I think that feeds into so much of what
he has some great ones. So which one is it?
He said, I never want to be back working in an ice cold warehouse midwinter at -4 degrees, hauling heavy stuff around again, unless I own that warehouse and business. Love that. I'm loving what Tommy's doing with his channel. I find his videos infectious. I enjoy watching him. So just keep at it, Tommy. Love what you do. And Gigi as well.
We got a request, though. 2 people have said this. We want Nick and Andrew's word of wisdom this time. So you're always asking the community for theirs and you're picking theirs. So what is your words of wisdom to finish off this podcast?
Putting us on the spot, isn't
There's
it?
so many.
This is what you do every week to people. You put us all on the spot. Now it's your turn.
on theirs, they give you assistance. We've just gone, what do you think?
We've just gone straight in, yeah.
It could be a statement. It could be anything.
Turn what you love into a business. There you go. Forget reselling. It could be something completely different. We're trying to drum this into our daughter right now. She's at the age where her whole life is ahead of her. She can choose to turn whatever her passion is into her business. It just takes work and commitment and drive. So that would be it, really. It doesn't have to be reselling.
but turn what you love into your business. It's possible.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're proving every day, hopefully.
Yeah. And keep buying secondhand, keep buying vintage, and, you know, try and reduce the impact on this already struggling planet. There you go.
Guys, most of you will be already following, subscribing, but it'll be Nick Hills and it will be My Vintage House by the Sea. So their channels are going to be just below, but there's a cool new feature now, collaboration. So once this has ended, we're going to collab with the guys, and it'll be very, very easy to subscribe if you're not already. Just hover over the video and then that will pop up. But like I said, guys, appreciate your time. I apologize to the chat. Thank you so much for coming in, guys. Usually we get pretty much every single comment up and we'll interact as much as we can, but from a selfish point of view, I just wanted to speak to these guys in as much detail as I possibly could. So yeah, thank you so much again, and we will see you guys next week. But thank you again, Nick and Andrea.
Thank you for the invite. And if there is loads of stuff we didn't talk about, I know, if you want us back on, just let us know.
We'll do.
Definitely be around for sure.
It's
Thank you.
been
Right.
Cheers, guys.